First, our friend Ange in Beachview. Ange, good
this should
morning.
be
Happy
good.
Friday. How are
This
you?
should be good. Hi, Ange.
Oh, feeling a little fuzzy this morning. I actually have I have progressed from rolling around on my dining room floor when the pick was in to trying to look at it in the light of day. I think Kenny Pickett, out of all the quarterbacks, is the best game manager. I'll give him that. I'm dumbfounded, but now they got to worry about a wide receiver. Mm-hmm. Now they got to worry about maybe they'll go after Mathis from Alabama. They're going to go D-line versus wide receiver. I'm just totally flabbergasted, really. Maybe there's something we don't know about him. We'll see. I mean, Wyatt was there, but he kicked his girlfriend's door in. I mean, so how can you have a guy like that? I was kind of hoping for Devin Lloyd from Utah. Mm-hmm. But I don't know.
What did you think about the two offensive linemen, the two Tylers, Linderbaum and then the kid from Tulsa? Did you like them?
Well, I am not enamored at all of Linderbaum.
Right.
He's under 300 pounds, and he got pancaked in the Senior Bowl. I could care less about him. The other one, I didn't even look too much at alignment because we made all those off-season moves.
What about Jermaine Johnson, the kid from Florida State, another edge rusher to bring in?
I have a thing about Florida State because I lived in Florida for 23 years, and that's all I got shoved down my throat. The Hurricanes, the Seminoles, the Gators. I don't like anybody from there.
So what was the play then at that spot then, Ange? Would you have traded back? What would you have done there if there wasn't anybody to trade back with?
Well, being that if it was me, I would have definitely traded back depending on who we had to give. I don't know. If we were able to trade somebody we currently have on our team, I don't know if they have considered it, or maybe it's a testament that nobody wanted to trade down with us.
No, that's a very fair point. Last thing, Ange, how does this shake out? We're going to get into this at 8 o'clock. Who's the starter week 1, and how does this shake out? Doesn't it have to be Pickett, or it's not a success?
No, it doesn't have to be Pickett.
Okay,
or it's
explain.
Not a success.
Explain.
Okay, so the Steelers, to me, always lean conservatively. Sometimes Tomlin overthinks things. If it was me, I'd put Pickett right in. In these days, your first-round draft pick, you better be able to hit the ground running. I would personally start him. You want it, you got it. But, Tomlin overthinks things. Well, maybe we should start Trubisky and let Pickett learn, la, 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 la. Forget it. Put him in there. But I don't think it's going to happen.
All right. Well,
good to hear from you, Ange.
Yeah, thank you, Ange.
Take care, guys.
Yep.
All right.
Have a great
She's
weekend.
The best. She's the absolute best. I didn't know if she was rolling around in ecstasy or rolling around in angst.
I didn't know where she was going with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But good on Ange for calling us. So
what now? I guess that's the question. What
it's going to be? It will be Yins or Nirvana too. What if they take Sky Moore in the second round and you have a pitch and catch combination? I think that's important. Okay, if you have Kenny Pickett, he's going to have to develop some sort of continuity, right? He's going to develop a relationship with Freiermuth, one would think, right away. He has a running back where if you take the Matt Canada offense and you take what Kenny Pickett does, and I'm working under the assumption now Kenny Pickett's going to be the starter because I think that it's a failed project if your first-round quarterback isn't the starter. And I don't want to hear about Chicago last year. I don't want to hear about San Francisco. I don't want to hear any. I'm talking about this team. If you take a first-round quarterback, I think it's a failure if he doesn't start from week 1. Okay? Well, especially at the age that he is.
And with the competition that he'll have in camp.
Correct.
He should start over Trubisky right away.
So he'll have a running back that they're going to try to pump it to a little bit more and throw it to. He'll have a tight end. And I think if you're the Steelers and you say, what next, I think you have to fortify yourself out on the perimeter and get a receiver, or flip it and fortify yourself on the perimeter on defense and get a cornerback. That has to happen, I think, in the second round, one of those two positions. Because it screams to me that they think, because there was a run on wide receivers, but there were good offensive linemen left, they think they have enough on the offensive line and what they did in free agency.
Yeah, they have to. I mean, they're otherwise you jump all over Linderbaum there,
correct,
at 20. Again, unless they were just so overwhelmed by the fact that Pickett fell all the way to 20. But even still, if you believe you need more help on the O-line and Linderbaum is still there, you go with him. But as for tonight, most immediately, and that's the first what now, the most immediate one is what do you do in the second and third rounds? And I like the idea that you have there about staying on the perimeter. A wide receiver, I absolutely agree with. Whether it's and Sky Moore is another one that, and to be honest, what did we see of him really outside of the Western Michigan
people love this
Pitt
North
game?
Dakota State guy. People absolutely love him. He's one of those guys that's like a combine killer. People loved John Mechie's a big school guy.
Pickens from Georgia,
right,
still out there. Yeah. So I mean. That's my the only thing about Sky Moore, and again, I understand it's a good story. Shady Side Academy, coming back home.
Played with Mike Tomlin's son.
Played with Dino Tomlin.
Don't forget that.
Yep. So it's a good story again, but is that going to be the guy that becomes your number one when and if Deontay Johnson doesn't extend his contract?
You
right?
know, and a lot of people are getting on me about how you don't start, how this is Maddox and Ben all over again. Okay, and how it'd be the dumbest thing to start Kenny Pickett week 1, and that you have to start Trubisky. Okay, fair. Okay, fair. You can call me dumb for that. I just don't understand how you put so much value into taking a guy first. He's 23 years old. He'll be 24 years old, I think, when the season starts. And you say, we can't start. Whenever I just heard last night, all those guys say, Tomlin, Colbert, all those guys say, he's NFL ready. He's the one, and that's what separated him from everyone. So if not week 1, then when? And what if Mitch Trubisky plays well? Then he stands there all year?
I tend to think that much like Ange and Beachview said, we're going to get some overthinking of this, and we're going to get, we're going to get Mike Tomlin trying to mold this so that there's a moment where Pickett takes over for Trubisky. Like at the first sign of trouble for Trubisky, bang, it's Kenny Pickett time, and he rides in with his blue and gold cape to save the day, right? I honestly, because I think Ange has a point there. Because I go back to the year Ben was out, and when Rudolph showed trouble, he went right back to Duck, right? He overthought the thing at that point. And I can see overthinking happen sometimes, and I could see it happening in this situation.
Which gets back to my point that has been the same point all along, that is ultra not popular this morning. You don't take a quarterback in the first round unless he is undeniably, without question, for sure, the guy that walks in the anointed one. And there's nobody in his way. Not everybody can be in a position to take Trevor Lawrence. You can't. You got to suck for a while.
Right.
But you can trade up, or you can find that guy that you think. Look, if the best that you can do in a draft is take the guy 20th, and that's the first quarterback off the board, and you're still not sure that he's going to start for you in week 1, maybe all the quarterbacks just weren't good enough. And maybe they just weren't.
Yeah, and I still stand by the fact that, at least in my opinion, it depends on the quarterback and it depends on the situation. But Kenny Pickett walking into this situation, I am totally on board with you in that case. He should be starting week 1. Otherwise, you've got serious questions about why you were so high on him. And they have described just how high on him they were. It sounds like if all things were equal and they didn't have to trade a first-round pick to move up into the top 10, they would have taken Kenny Pickett 6th or 7th or 8th or 9th. Like, he was a top 10 guy for them, the way they talk about him. And that he fell back into their lap the way he did, they were shook by it.
There was
no
question Najee Harris was going to start week 1.
Right.
There was no question that Claypool was going to get a start week 1, right? When he was a second-round pick. Devin Bush, didn't he walk in and play? You know, there was no question. T.J. Watt took him a little bit of time. But you look back at those guys, they walked in and they played. David DeCastro played. Cam Hayward played.
And here's the other thing. The guys that have had to sit, whether it was a quarterback or not, sat because the guy in front of them was, like, when you talk about T.J. Watt. T.J. Watt didn't start week 1 of his rookie season because they still had James Harrison around, right?
Right.
So it was, okay, he's gonna have to fight for that spot. Like, Kenny Pickett is already as good as Mitch Trubisky. So in that case, put him in there.
Right, and people
he's
say,
not unseating Tom Brady here.
Well, Patrick Mahomes didn't play. Well, Alex Smith was there.
Right.
And they were pretty darn good. And Alex
they had
Smith
just got to the playoffs with him.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. I think that the Steelers created a quarterback controversy when there didn't need to be one. You know, it feels that way a little bit. In that I understand what they wanted to do by getting Mitch Trubisky.
Mm-hmm.
But if you had designs and you really thought Pickett was your guy, was somebody else going to scoop up Mitch Trubisky? Or could you have waited till after the draft and got him?
Or at the very least, if you say to yourself, hey, we love Kenny Pickett, well, then go get Kenny Pickett. Whatever the cost is, be damned. Go get Kenny Pickett then. And you don't spend. I know it's not a huge contract they gave Mitch Trubisky. I'm not trying to sit here and pretend they gave him $20 million a year. But that money still could have been better spent elsewhere if Mitch Trubisky is just going to be here to be a backup.
Well, you have to figure out Kenny Pickett by the end of year 3. You have to do that.
Yeah, because you got to decide if you're going to pick up year 5.
You have to. So when does that get started? You know, you can't just take 1 year to figure him out and it be his 3rd year or his 2nd year.
Well, by his third year, he's going to be 27.
Correct. And you need to figure out what you want to do for the 5th year.
Yeah, no, it's a great point as well. I think I don't want to say they panicked because they didn't panic, but I honestly think they did not expect Kenny Pickett to slide all the way to 20,
Nope.
and they had him graded so much higher than Willis and Ritter and anybody else on the quarterback board that they were like, well, we got to take him.
It felt kind of like, holy hell, he's still there? My gosh.
Again,
forget the plan. Grab him.
And none of this belies the fact that, and I'll speak for both of us here because we both said it already this morning, we want Kenny Pickett to do well. We like Kenny Pickett. The guy is a good dude. I'm rooting for him because I want to see him do well and the Steelers do well with him at quarterback. I just don't know. I'm still back and forth on this, and conflicted about it is the best way to say it. Something